You can just prop your toes up on that ball and step the foot forward so you start to get some length in the calf. Hey everyone, welcome to class. This one is a little bit niche, I know. It sounds a little bit niche, but I think so many times when I get questions about like, oh, there's a weird pain in my knee, or my hip is always tight, or whatever, hamstrings are always tight, or you have a, plantar fasciitis, this kind of thing. So much of it can be traced back to our very foundation, which is our feet, our calves, our ankles. So we're going to kind of tackle some of the areas that I think are easiest to target, and that's going to be the ankles and the calves. So working on a little bit of ankle mobility, releasing some tension through the calf muscles, and hopefully feeling a whole lot better in not that much time. That's always my goal. For this particular class, you will need either, if you have these little massage balls, that's great. I get mine at a place called Tune Up Fitness. They have the best stuff. This is not sponsored in the least, but man, oh man, do I love these things. So that's what I'm using. It comes with two little, they're a little bit smaller than a tennis ball, but they have various sizes. If you don't have something like this, that's totally fine. Grab a couple tennis balls and put them in like a stocking or a sock and tie off the end. You can also use a foam roller. It might be a little bit trickier to isolate certain areas, but a foam roller will also do the trick. To begin, this isn't necessarily a traditional flow where we're vinyasa flowing. We'll be kind of doing specific things for these areas. So to start, we're going to do something pretty basic, which is rolling out the feet. So you're going to want the ball or your foam roller on the mat, and you can go ahead and come to standing. So the foam roller will work, it'll be a little bit more cumbersome. So you're gonna step onto whatever you're using and keep your weight and the pressure on the soft tissue part of the foot. So it's pretty much all fair game on the bottom of the foot here, but think the arch area. And instead of rolling all around like this, I want you to be really slow and mindful and kind of put pressure in one area. Notice if there's a sensitive part, and if there is, I want you to hold. And if there's not, kind of move around until you feel an area that's more sensitive than the last, and keep your focus there for several breaths. So I've got your time. Hold on one area, and I'll tell you when to kind of move into another. But a good gauge for when you should switch over to another spot is once it starts becoming less sensitive, and then you can kind of roll into another area. So try that around now. Maybe rolling into another spot, see what you can find. You can also roll all the way back to the heel. Take a couple more breaths there. And then roll onto another spot. Ooh, there's one. Especially, I don't know what kind of shoes you tend to wear. If you tend to wear shoes with a narrow toe box, they're so bad for your feet. And of course, that affects how your ankles can move, how it feels when you're walking, standing, jumping, running. It affects all of the mechanics of the ankle. So this is such a good place to start when you need help with the ankles and calves. Roll out your feet. All right. Next up, drop the heel down towards the mat, and if you're on like a ball like this, you can just prop your toes up on that ball and step the foot forward so you start to get some length in the calf. If you're on a foam roller, you can do that as well, but the angle of the foot is going to be quite a bit higher. So you can also roll up one end of your mat and prop your toes up on that little roll. Go ahead and step back. Let's do the other foot. So we're going to start by rolling the arch of that foot. There we go. And you're doing the same thing. So roll around enough until you feel a point that feels sensitive. And then pause. Just keep your weight on that spot. Breathe into it. Don't move around. Switch if you haven't, move to another area. Now let's find one more point. Hold. Keep your eyes on the horizon and don't drop the head down. And come back up. So now walk your foot back so the heel drops down on the mat. The ball of the foot is elevated, toes are elevated, and then step the left foot forward. So you feel some length happening in the calf. And come back off. Let's go ahead and take a seat. You'll still need whatever you're using here. So just sit down comfortably. We're gonna roll the calves out now. So I want you to think of the calf as, just for ease, visualization, imagine that you could divide the calf in half vertically. We're gonna kind of focus on each segment of the calf. So kind of turn so that the pinky edge of your foot is at, 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and you're just gonna roll up and down until you feel a sensitive point. Kind of get the idea, right? You feel a sensitive point and then hold your body weight there. You can also take the left foot and cross it over the right to add a bit more weight to that area if you're not feeling much, and that will certainly do it. And same goes, take a few breaths, and once the sensitivity lessens, move around until you find another one. We're still kind of on the outside of the calf. One more, find one more spot on that side, if you can. And now we're going to flip it to the other half. So think inner part of the calf. So turn your foot now, we're looking at like 10 o'clock, right? And we're going to do the same thing. So find an area that feels a little tender, and then hold. You might cross the left foot over to add some more weight to that. Don't forget to breathe. Foam rolling always triggers that like, and then you find yourself holding your breath and you're like, wait a second, that's defeating the whole purpose. So still focus on your ability to find a place that's moderately sensitive, but you don't have to inflict pain on yourself. Roll around and find another one. And you can move pretty far up and down the calf. Just don't go right behind the knee. You don't want to put too much pressure there, or all the way down to like the ankle bone. No need to do that. And then we'll just give you kind of one nice massagey roll up and down, just because it always feels nice. Now let's do the other side. So switch it to the other leg, same idea. Visualize kind of a vertical line straight up the center of the calf. We're going to focus on the outside first. So foot is once again kind of at 10 o'clock. We're going to roll until you find something a little tender. And then stop, maybe cross the ankles. So you add that extra bit of pressure. Move it around, find another one. And the more you do this, the less sensitive these points become, which is really great because I love little indications that progress is being made, So as you do this more and more, and just regularly, it doesn't have to be all the time, but if you do this, 3 times a week. You're gonna feel a massive difference. Find one more spot on the outside of the calf. You're gonna feel a massive difference in a pretty short amount of time. And this also impacts the ability of the ankle to move freely. The calves are super, super tight. So just very important. The whole body is connected. Nothing works in isolation. So even when you feel like you're doing something that's like, well, this isn't really the ankle, it's going to go a long way in that direction to help. Let's do the inside of the calf. So now the toes are going to point like 2 o'clock on the clock, and you're doing the same thing. So last bit of foam rolling here on this part. So find a point that's sensitive, cross the ankles. Wait, keep slipping. There we go. The only annoying thing about a tennis ball, if you're using a tennis ball, is they're slippery. So with something like these, they're made of rubber, kind of like your yoga mat, so they'll stick on they'll like resist against your leggings, which is a nice little bonus. Man, I should be a partner or some kind of affiliate for them because I love them. They're so good. Move it around. And then do one more. And lastly, we'll just do that kind of nice all up and down little massage. Always feels good. Perfect. Gonna move these off to the side. Go ahead and take a seat. I wanted to give you something really quick. So here is where I'll pause you now. If you want the rest of this class, the second half, it lives inside my digital studio, that Yogi studio. Jump down to the description below. Join me for 2 weeks for totally free. And you can choose from this class and hundreds of others. I think we have over 300 classes now. But who's counting? Just me. Yeah, hundreds of classes for every mood, every ache and pain, fun classes, power classes, restorative yin meditation. So yeah, jump down in the description, tap the link, get your free 2-week trial. I hope to see you there. And in the meantime, I'll catch you back on YouTube for the next class.